Good morning, Freddy, Juan Carlos. Greetings to everyone. We are here in the city of Capiatá, and I am with the lady Gladys Detes to talk a bit about what happened on January 19th. Mrs. Gladys is the sister of this woman, Mrs. Jessica Detes, who urgently took her husband, Vidal Méndez, to the hospital in the early hours of January 19th from General Aquino and encountered a situation where, unfortunately, there was no on-call doctor, and it is really very painful. As this 38-year-old man leaves 4 children orphaned, it's quite complicated. 4 children. The truth is, it's a very, very complicated situation. Mrs. Gladys, thank you for having us, and we also wanted you to tell us, well, how was this situation that your sister had to go through?
And look, it's a complete tragedy for us because it's a situation we didn't expect. We received the news from this side at 3 in the early morning, and we went. We found a young person with my sick sister. He was unwell, but should have been fine with family the day before, being a truck driver. He worked on Sunday, and it was extremely hot, so by morning it was around a person should be well with their family the day before because he is a truck driver. So the day before he was working, which was also Sunday, he was doing his normal tasks and slept peacefully. But it was extremely hot that Sunday, so by the morning, practically around 1 in the morning, he asked his wife to take him to the General Aquino District Hospital. It was almost dawn at just about... At 1 in the morning, he asked his wife to take him to the General Aquino District Hospital. And well, my sister does what she can. And because over there in the city of General Aquino, which is a district city, a large populous city with a lot of people, and it's not exactly poor people who live there because it's a big city, I urge the minister to act in that hospital to prevent another Vidal situation. They are looking for help and will probably find us like them. That's why I'm making this public, and I need the minister to intervene in that hospital so that there isn't another Vidal in that area. So my sister goes to the hospital and they find a wheelchair outside, as seen in the video, and he sits down, he gets up and sits down to wait for help while my sister screams, asking for assistance. No one. He sits waiting for help while my sister screams, asking for help, and what a surprise, even the door was locked. And it's definitely a hospital where you could go for urgent care, but the urgency was what didn't exist there.
It took about 6 minutes.
And that's probably what is impossible to explain when you're in those situations. How long? 5 or 6 minutes. I was here pounding, I was trying to revive him. My sister was doing what she could. And what were the doctors doing inside, if there were any doctors at all? That's what I should assume.
There were nurses?
Just nurses. 2 nurses way inside, maybe sleeping. Because if they don't hear the person they're asking for help, it's because they're supposed to be sleeping. So they open up and they throw him in, and they could take the person. So they take him inside, and they didn't know what to do because my brother-in-law starts to vomit. He starts having problems because he couldn't breathe. He felt like he couldn't breathe anymore. So they move him inside the hospital, and inside the hospital he starts having fluids coming out of his nose. But what do they put on him? An oxygen mask? I don't understand the protocols of the Ministry of Health, but if the Ministry of Health is listening, people from the Ministry of Health, this cannot happen again. What the protocol is in these cases, but they were negligent with this citizen because he's not someone who could be moved to another place to save his life. Time was lost there. Mrs. Gladys, in this case, what did they tell your sister when they found out there was no doctor? If he could have been moved to another place directly, it would have saved his life. Valuable time was lost there.
Mrs. Gladys, in this case, well, what did they tell your sister when they found out there was no doctor?
And they had to transfer him to another place, but for that they had to call the ambulance driver again because the ambulance driver had gone home to sleep and the ambulance was just there. So it also took them 10 minutes for someone to arrive to take him to another hospital, which is 20 kilometers away from the same city. What more can we ask? We buried him the day he died. At this point, we already buried him. We buried him the same day he died.